Hey, what's going on, y'all? Sean here. Hopefully, you're doing well this Wednesday morning. Hopefully, you are doing well physically. Hopefully, you're doing well mentally. One thing I'm learning, well, I've been learning it, and I'm continuing to learn it for sure, is that we as individuals are very much responsible for keeping the state of our mind in a good place. Even though sometimes we feel like we can't, we can. And that's something that I'm going to talk about again today. I think the live that I did yesterday kind of touched on this, but I'm just prefacing it to say this, that the way, and I'm saying this a lot for myself. Well, first of all, that the way that you think has an effect on your body for sure. It has an effect on your health for sure. And I think the way that evidence shows that the way that we can cultivate good health through our thoughts is by choosing our thoughts. Now, it's not to say that we won't have thoughts that might tempt us to dwell on anger. Sorry, let me adjust this thing here. That'll tempt us to dwell on, to go toward anger, to go toward fear and anxiety, or other negative thoughts. It's not that we won't be tempted by those things, because like the thoughts will come. However, like I tell my kids, you and I also have the ability to choose thoughts that are empowering, to choose thoughts um that are loving thoughts, thoughts that are like not selfish, but they kind of lead us toward caring for others. Thoughts that make you, happy, like remembering great things that have happened, stuff that anticipating, good things. All of these things, it's not just about quote positive thinking, even though it does include positive thinking, but like literally cultivating a certain kind of mindset that will like really drive all of your being in a good direction, including your health. And I understand to some this may seem kind of just weird, but the more I consider it, it's not weird. It's like it's really us who are kind of losing out when we kind of see the connection between your mind and your body as weird. Like when we see it as weird, we're the ones who are missing out, because it's just a fact. Now, um, I heard an episode of one of my favorite podcasts again, Huberman Lab podcast. I went back to an episode I listened to some time ago, where he was talking to Dr. Peter Attia, who is one who talks a lot about like longevity and longevity protocols for health and a lot of stuff related to that. And they were discussing a few studies um, that essentially point out what they refer to as belief effects. And so I'll kind of like explain what a couple of those studies um, involved to define what belief effects essentially are. So, in one of the studies they were discussing, the people who were participating in the study were they were educated on the effects of stress. One group, so it's two groups. One group was told that stress is depleting, that it's detrimental. The second group was told that stress is actually beneficial, that it actually, that it helps. And so what they saw in the study, I don't know all the details. I'll link to the podcast, and hopefully you can go from there and find links to the study, because they tend to do good with linking to the studies. Um but here, hold on a second. Yeah. But they found that each group experienced 10 to 30% difference in their performance depending on which group they were in. So the people who were in the group that was told that stress is detrimental, they experience a decrease in performance of 10 to 30%. People who are told that stress is beneficial experience a 10 to 30% increase in performance. And that is amazing. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure I have this pulled up so that I can link to it um, for you guys. Okay, yeah, here it is. Okay, good. Let me copy that link so I do not forget. So, and then the other study I want to reference, I think it was done by the same person. It was a group of hotel workers, like people who, for example, clean hotels and stuff like that. So I think they were also divided into two groups. One group was told that the things that they were doing counted as exercise, and that exercise is very beneficial, and it does all these different kind of things, help you lose weight, this, that, and the other. The second group wasn't told anything like that. They weren't. They had the same average amount of activity. Activity was not changed. Diet was not changed for either group. The group that was told that their work was exercise lost 12% more weight without doing anything else different. The only thing that was different was what they were educated about in regard to their natural movement through the hotel cleaning that they were doing. So essentially, what we're talking about in these studies, they were referring to as belief effects. That simply changing what you believe is powerful for effecting changes in your health. Like I said, I kind of talked about this already, but I think it's so key and so crucial that it's worth talking about yet again. So, if we can just if simply reframing how we think about something can have that big of an effect, then like you and I really need to be working on this. So like even for example, I've heard people say that for example, eating cabbage, one of my favorite vegetables. So obviously cabbage in and of itself is good for you. But then even also apparently having that belief that you're doing something good for your body in and of itself is good for you. I talked about when I was prefacing this live, I talked about um, empowering thoughts and how those things tend to move us toward a healthier place. Here's the thing. So like, and you know this, you probably know this in your own life. If you feel if you're in a situation and you feel like you have hope or you feel like there's something that can be done, then you're going to tend to move in that direction versus somebody who's like, man, I'm done, or this will never work or whatever. Those type of thoughts tend to paralyze us. And it also tends to have an effect on, you know, like our motivation levels and whatnot. I'm just saying all that to say that, these belief effects that Dr. Attia and Dr. Huberman were discussing, it like this really seems to be real stuff. And like I said in the live yesterday, Dr. Langer talking about how the way that we discuss the mind body connection probably is not really the most accurate because it implies a separation of the two when according to what she's saying there really is not a separation. It's like they always are together. We just have to understand the way that we think. Even as I talk a lot about exercise and eating right on this channel. That's the main stuff I talk about. But I really want to encourage and motivate and empower you to like be your healthiest version of yourself. And so you can't do that without having your mind be a part of that as well. So my challenge to you, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up here soon. Shout out to those of you who are watching. My encouragement to you is to really take this mind thing seriously, to take the thought stuff seriously. Trust me, I have had struggles from time to time with really cultivating a mindset that is empowering, a mindset that is, gonna move me in the direction I want to go into. Like a mindset that, for lack of better words, is more positive. But I find that whenever I allow myself to like kind of get more negative, then I tend to do things that don't help me. For example, I tend to, you know, stop exercising. I tend to be more likely to eat junk food. I tend to, you know, waste time. Like I tend to, I might spend my time looking at news, which I really tend to avoid at this stage in my life. And then I find myself doing that again, and all I'm doing is kind of feeding negativity on the inside of me. Or I tend to, spend my time looking at a whole lot of memes and stuff like that, which, I don't necessarily have an issue with that, but we can't be spending all our time looking at memes. Let me see what you said, Lester. How much do you think mental health affects? Okay, you just answered it. No, no, it's all good. It's all good. I'm glad I did answer the question. But yeah, so it just tends to move us in the wrong direction. But I will say this too, especially if anybody who's watching this video either now or in the future is somebody who's at the beginning of your health journey. I believe one of the main reasons that you and I struggle at the beginning of our health journey is because we're dealing with doubt at the same time. So, okay, I'm starting this fitness class, but what if this stuff doesn't work for me? My body is different. You know, those kind of thoughts. Or, man, how could I ever get rid of how could I ever stop drinking soda all day? These different kind of thoughts that are like essentially doubts or whatever. Those tend to be disempowering kind of things that, like I say, some may see this as weird, but I don't think it's weird at all. If you think about it, the more you think about thoughts like that, the more that you move in that direction. If you've ever seen the movie The Matrix, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, the first one, there's a scene where Neo, who he comes to be known as later on in the movie, he is being told on that phone by Morpheus to go to escape from the agents. He's told to go out the window and kind of walk along. He's in this high rise building, office building. He's told to kind of travel along the outside of that building to get to safety. And when he got out there, he looked, of course, he saw that, how far the fall would be if he fell. And he was going to continue, but then he dropped his phone. And then he was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And so he went ahead and went back and was taken by the agents to be interrogated. But my point is, his focus shifted to what appeared to be the impossibility of the situation. And so it's like the more we kind of lean in that direction, especially those of you who are in the beginning of your fitness and health journey, the more you kind of lean in that negative direction, the more that your body's going to start to kind of shift that way, so to speak. So, like, if you really want to be successful on your health and fitness journey, not only you take the actions, but you also really need to train this thing here. And I'm speaking to myself too. You really need to train this thing here. You need to have like you need to intentionally shift your perspective. I'm going to do this. I'm not going to give up. I can do it. Of course, make it more specific for whatever it is you're seeking to accomplish in your health. But like you have to do that because that's going to help you not just go through the motions, but it's going to help you to shift your whole being in that direction so you can be the person that you're seeking to be. Okay. All right. Well, thank y'all for those of you who attended. Good to see you again, Lester, on here. Be empowered, y'all. If we really want to be the healthiest we desire to be, then it really requires like some investment, not only in the actions, but also in training your mind to think a certain way. These these kind of things are very, very exciting to me because I feel like it really helps me, it helps us to really understand more so like how we're actually created, how we're designed, and helps to illuminate the possibilities. Okay. All right, y'all. Take care. Have a great day. Be empowered. Be intentional. and see you next time.